Okay. Today is March 11th, and this is the voting session of the Ways and Means Committee. First, we have House Bill 147, and there are amendments. Delegate Ebersol.
Thank you, Madam. As amended, the bill requires county boards of education to adopt a policy on the use of personal electronic devices. The policy must include a limit on the use of smartphones or devices connected to smartphones during instructional time, with exceptions in place for students with a disability or to monitor the student's documented health issue or when directed for educational purposes. Policies must be published on each County Board of Education's website and in the public school student handbook. Counties that already have a policy limiting the use of smartphones during instructional time will already be in compliance with the bill and they are exempt. The amendments expand the scope of the bill from elementary and middle to a broader school policy on technology use limiting smartphones during instructional time. Additionally, the amendments require that the policy be published, and that's where the amendments come from that I stated before. I move the amendments.
Okay, any discussion on the amendments?
Yeah,
On the
he's
amendments?
to your left right there.
Oh, okay.
In the absence of the sponsor, I move in favor.
All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the amendment's passed. Motion on the bill is amended.
The bill is amended. Second.
Okay, any discussion on the bill is amended? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, House Bill 147 passes favorably as amended. And actually, the bill sponsor, he's excused from today's vote. Okay, House Bill 317, and there are amendments. I will ask Mr. Ward to do that.
Okay, the bill establishes a curbside voting pilot program in 3 counties selected by the State Board for the 2026 and 2028 elections. 1 curbside voting location would be established in each county during early voting and on Election Day. The amendments require the State Board of Elections to emphasize in communications with the public, including signage at curbside voting locations, that curbside voting is primarily an accommodation for voters with disabilities, voters with limited mobility, and elderly voters.
Move the amendments.
Second. Okay, is there a discussion on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendments signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended.
Move favorable. Second.
Discussion, Delegate Hartman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So with the, as amended, is there any idea as to how much additional resource the counties will need to implement this?
Yeah, the fiscal note speaks to that, and the amendment shouldn't change the fiscal note really at all. But it is alluded to in the fiscal note in some detail.
As far as the people, and I mean, do we have any ideas to the number of people and so forth is?
No, we don't know how many people are going to use it. Part of the
like to offer this, like how many additional people will the county need? Like not financial strain, like getting enough people there. Smaller counties, just thinking of the challenges.
So this is just a pilot program in 3 counties.
Okay.
One of them would be a small county, a medium county, and a large county. And the fiscal note does go into some detail about what the local costs would be. Part of it would be for additional election judges, but I don't think they have a definitive amount right now.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the favorable as amended signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, House Bill 317 passes favorably as amended. We are holding House Bill 496. It's my understanding HGO has a departmental bill that would capture that issue, so we're going to hold that, and they're trying to work out some fiscal issues. House Bill 546, Delegate Feldmark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 546 makes the administration and appeals process of the digital advertising gross revenues tax the same as for other taxes collected by the comptroller by establishing a specified appeals process for entities subject to that tax that receive a notice of assessment from the comptroller and authorizing the comptroller or the comptroller's designee to issue an order to correct an erroneous assessment of the tax. Move favorable.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the favorable House Bill 546 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, House Bill 546 passes favorably. House Bill 600, and there are amendments. Delegate Eversole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As amended, the bill generally establishes uniform definitions related to the military and the education general provisions and state government articles of the Maryland Code, primarily by reference to definitions in the U.S. Code. This results in extending current programs to include all uniformed service members as defined in federal law, including those in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the Public Health Service. The amendments make technical changes to the definition of veteran and change references to certification and licensure to keep it in line with current MSDE standards. I move the amendments.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended.
Move favorable, Madam Chair.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor of House Bill 600 as amended signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? House Bill 600 passes favorably as amended. House Bill 658, Delegate Eversole.
Yes, and we're secondary to judiciary on this one. This is a really great bill because it has no amendments, but the sponsor is a little bit of a problem. It alters the Board of Juvenile Services Education Program by allowing departmental heads to designate individuals to serve on the board, imposing a consecutive 2-term limit for members of the board, staggering the members' terms, and limiting the number of required board meetings each year from once a month to 10 times a year. The sponsor of the bill is a problem here, no question about it. So move the bill.
Okay, any discussion on the bill? Okay, all in favor of House Bill 658 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, House Bill 658 passes favorably despite its sponsor. House Bill 801, Delegate Feldmark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 801 creates the Maryland Financial Empowerment Center Network Pilot Program to establish a statewide network of financial empowerment centers in different regions of Maryland. The Comptroller's Office must implement and administer the program. Each center must provide financial counseling and coaching services free of charge and information on how to increase savings, pay down debt, access banking, and improve credit scores. The bill takes effect October 1st, 2025, and terminates September 30th, 2028. Move favorable.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of House Bill 801 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, House Bill 801 passes favorably. House Bill 879, and there are amendments. Delegate Eversole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill establishes the task force to improve attendance and reduce chronic absenteeism in schools. The State Department of Education must provide staff support. The task force must collect data on chronic absenteeism, identify most effective practices, develop a toolkit, and set a statewide goal in reducing chronic absenteeism. MSDE must update regulations on student attendance to incorporate the most effective practices identified by the task force and distribute a toolkit developed by the task force on identifying and preventing chronic absenteeism. The amendments add a student member and a school health professional to the task force. Move the amendment.
Okay, any discussion on the amendments? All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the amendment's passed. Motion on the bill is amended.
Move favorable, Madam Chair.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of House Bill 879 as amended signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, House Bill 879 passes favorably as amended. House Bill 935, and there are amendments. Delegate Eversole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill requires that public and non-public schools incorporate into their venue-specific emergency action plan safety policies for high school football games. The policies require that certain health personnel be at each high school football game, or that an ambulance with an appropriate emergency medical services personnel be present at the game. There are amendments. The amendments add a nurse, physician, and someone licensed or certified to provide emergency medical services to the list of acceptable individuals who can be present at the game, and clarify that the health professionals can be employees or volunteers. Additionally, the amendments allow a nearby ambulance to count for purposes of being present at the game and allow for an ambulance to leave if it is called to an emergency. Finally, the amendments make identical changes to private schools for their requirements. Move the amendments.
Okay, any discussion on the amendments? Delegate Buckle?
I just had a question. The amendments sound great. I wasn't too paying a lot of attention to this particular policy, but it sounds great. The amendments, was there any discussion or information about, is this widely already done? Like, is this something that most, I know in my county, there's always an ambulance at high school football games. I mean, you can always see it sitting there. Is this something that's widely done, or is this something to fill in a gap, and maybe the bill sponsor might know? If you don't, I don't know.
Well, anecdotally, our information is that most schools do this, okay, on a pretty regular basis. This is just to make sure they're doing it on a very
Just to sort of make it
regular basis.
uniform for everybody. That makes sense. Thank you.
Delegate Miller?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And yes, I do appreciate the expansion because according to my county, we usually try to do this where we have a trainer and an ambulance, but just because of the shortage of trainers that we have right now, it's a big issue. So can you go over the list of who would qualify? Because it sounded like they all had to be like EMS or medically degree certified, not just like CPR and first aid training certified.
So the list as the bill came out was a trainer, and then it also required an ambulance to be present. So we spread that out a little bit. And the acceptable individuals at a game, see if I can find it here, a nurse, an LPN or an RN, a physician, someone licensed to provide emergency medical services to a list of, that's the ones that we added, EMTs essentially in that case, in addition to a trainer. And then we said, they only have to be there if they don't have a way to verify that there's going to be an ambulance there. And the ambulance doesn't have to stay. If it goes on a call, it can go. In other words, we don't want it to be locked down and not go save other people because it's at a football game. And then we even said within an acceptable distance, which we chose to be 3 road miles. If there's a station 3 road miles away, we did a little search, and that's less than 5 minutes, generally speaking. If you're that far away, you can be there in 5 minutes, and that's probably acceptable also. So we tried to make it possible, but also to make sure that they met some of those conditions.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then the schools would be paying for those, or they would be volunteer positions?
That's right.
Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah, they can get volunteers. You know, if you know, one of the kids' dads is a doctor and he says, I'll stay, I'll be here for the whole game, then that counts.
And then any waiving of liability or insurance aspects of it then with it?
We didn't get that as a problem. We just got that if they couldn't meet these conditions, they would feel liable if they didn't meet them, and that they would probably, that's why we expanded them so large. Pazam said they would probably just forfeit the game, okay, which we didn't want that to happen either.
Right, I could see that where that would be the issue. Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other discussion on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended.
You want to move the bill? Go ahead. Move the bills. Move favorable. There you go.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor of House Bill 935 as amended signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, House Bill 935 passes favorably as amended. House Bill 1085, and there are amendments. Delegate Wells.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let's see. Okay, so on this bill, Environment and Transportation was the primary on the bill. The bill exempts nonprofit entities created by public housing authorities to provide affordable housing from property taxes. The housing authority retains control of the nonprofit entity, which is able to accept private investment through the federal low-income housing tax credit. The amendments allow property that the nonprofit entity plans to use for affordable housing to qualify for the tax exemption. Move the amendments.
Okay, any discussion on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion on the bill is amended.
Move the bills.
Any discussion on the bill is amended? Okay, we're going to do a roll call on the favorable on House Bill 1085 as amended. The Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Ebersol?
Yes.
Delegate Patterson? Yes. Delegate Buckle? No. Delegate Fair? Yes. Delegate Hornberger? Yes. Delegate Long? No. Delegate Young is excused. Delegate Miller? No. Delegate Roberson? Yes. Delegate Roberts? Yes. Delegate Wims? Yes. Delegate Vogel? Yes. Delegate Wu is excused. Delegate Hartman? No. Delegate Muirque North? Yes. Delegate Griffith? No. Delegate Wells? Yes. Delegate Plakovich Carr?
Yes.
Delegate Feldmark?
Yes.
House Bill 1085 passes favorably as amended. House Bill 1200, Delegate Wells.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The bill authorizes local governments to provide a property tax credit to the surviving spouse or cohabitant of a judicial officer who dies in the line of duty. What was I supposed to say, move the bill? Wait, yeah, move the bill.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? House Bill 1200 passes favorably. House Bill 1450, Delegate Wells. Oh, no, Delegate Feldmark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1450 removes the award and investment limits under the Maryland Small Business Innovation Research and Technology Transfer Incentive Program in the Maryland Technology Development Corporation. A business is still limited to 1 award or investment per fiscal year and 3 awards or investments in total. Move favorable.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of House Bill 1450 signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Okay, House Bill 1450 passes favorably. We have 2 withdraws, House Bill 149 and House Bill 937. Is there a consent motion on the withdraws?
Madam Chair, move favorable as a consent calendar, these 2 bills for withdrawal.
Any discussion? Oh, is there a second? Sorry. Okay, any discussion? All in favor of the favorable on the withdrawals signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, thank you. They are withdrawn. Wait 2 seconds for us to get offline. That concludes the voting session.